Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. All right, welcome to this Wednesday edition of the POMcast. So glad that you can join us this morning. I am Stephen Willis from the palatial Central Florida studios. I am here to welcome you to this edition of the POMcast. Before we get started, I do want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. The phone number is 1-800-330-7461. Again, that is 1-800-330-7461. Basically, what I'm trying to do is everybody needs a vacation. We've been going through this for 18 months at this point. Everybody needs a vacation. Well, these guys are going to provide a local perspective whenever you want to go to Disney or the beach or any of the local attractions. They're on the ground here and can tell you about different things that are going on in the event right there. You know, masks might be required indoors at Disney, but they're not required at Universal. Stuff like that. They'll be able to tell you what's going on. That's travelandcruiseworld.com, 1-800-330-7461, travelandcruiseworld.com, travelandcruiseworld.com. See Central Florida like a local. Also, want to tell you, if you want to watch the show, we're available on Twitter at the Stephen Willis or at Ole Positively. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. You can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about, and also you can catch us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word, all lowercase. Audio-wise, podcast, you can catch us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Pandora. We're also on smaller podcatchers, but if we went to name them all, we'd be here all day, so that's the reason we don't do that. So, you know, listen, we're on pace, like, in the next day or so to break our monthly record for streams again. That makes us feel absolutely fantastic. We've announced that the show Reb Calls will debut September 6th. It'll be exclusively on Patreon. The only way you can see that is if you are a patron. So you can, basically what we're doing with that is our shows like the POMcast, SEC After Dark, Beast of the East, Best of the West. Those are free. We want those to remain free. So we're going to add extra content and things to do, but also if you become a patron, it's $3 a month. These shows can remain free and continue going to your Facebook account and your YouTube account and all the stuff that you are used to. But that is what we are trying to accomplish with the Patreon. You can see the link. We're going to put it out there. We're trying to do, you know, Eddie became a patron last night, so it's another patron coming up. So we're moving along pretty well, but we want to get to a point where that becomes self-sustainable. So that is www.patreon.com Positively Ole Miss. www.patreon.com/Positively Ole Miss. Okay, now yesterday's show, or Monday's show, I can't remember which one, but we spent a lot of time talking about the defensive performance in the first scrimmage and why all the hot takes and all the narrative coming out wasn't necessarily true. Now, we told you that it is possible to script humbleness into a scrimmage to where you can struggle. You know, you still have to go out and do it, but you struggling becomes a thing to where they can get on to you, and that'll provide humbleness. You'll come out working harder. And that might have been exactly what happened. You heard about the practice yesterday, or you will hear about the practice yesterday, where the defense forced numerous turnovers. The first string defense, it turns out, did actually play well on Sunday in the first scrimmage. And the second and the third defense is a little bit problematic, which is true. That makes sense. That tracks. This whole thing is about building depth. We want a 22 on defense, not an 11, a 22 that you can put out on the field and count on them to do what needs to be done. Count on them to, be the dude. And we've got 11, it sounds like. It sounds like we've hit 11, and we probably have 14 or 15, but we need 22. So we need to build depth on those next 5 or 6 players. We have 3 weeks to get it done before the Louisville game, and kind of, at that point, we're always improving, but you're kind of locked into what you are once you get into the game week routine. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. As you've heard, I'm a huge Tysheem Johnson guy. I want to see him become what he can become. I want to see him. I think he has honey badger qualities. I'm not calling him the honey badger. He has honey badger qualities, as in the ball finds him. He's a big play machine. He's a super athlete. There's a chance you could see him returning punts as well. I want to see what that looks like. Obviously, we have not been to practice. We don't want to go to practice because what matters in reality are the games. What's going on with the games, because those are the bullet points where you check progress, not a live in the moment 3rd and 7 pass drop in a scrimmage. That's all part of the process of building up to those games. So we will talk about them, and we will talk about what they're doing well and how they look and what's going on, but we will not overly put into a practice. Like Allen Iverson said, you're talking about practice, man. We'll see what they look like when it comes to the games and not so much in the practice realm. With technology and everything going on, we're allowed to do this. You might have heard me mention just a second ago the palatial Central Florida studios. That's because technology allows us to cover this unlike any time before in history. Technology has finally caught up with what I want to do. We're going to take we're going to listen to the press conference. We're going to listen to the press conference highlights and talk about all that. Then we'll take a short break, and we'll come back after that with one of the games I'm really looking forward this season. So stick around.
Yeah, that's why I don't really, love making big comments directly after, game, but especially a scrimmage, because you got a lot of stuff going on. And so after watching it, what got mixed in there is all the scoring and points and, not taking into account when it was 1s, 2s, and 1s, 1s. And so really, after looking at it, and separating those, our one defense played pretty well. Obviously, that would mean our 2 defense did not, 2 and 3s, because of all the scoring. But, going back over it, there was some very positive things on defense with the 1s. So.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Like, the 1s didn't get scored on all day. We got to pick up the depth and everything like that. But the 1s stepped up to the plate against the 2s and all offensive 1s at the end of practice when they put the ball on the goal line. They still didn't score. So that's positive to me.
Just everybody buying in, like, just doing their job, doing their assignment. Just everybody doing their assignment, lining up correctly, just play ball. And, just go out there and play ball. Just know your assignment and put it on tape.
I think Henry's a special player with a very high ceiling. Skinny kid when he came in here. Looks completely different already, and I think will continue to. I'm sure he would tell you he was probably coming to FAU, when we left there. And, so we had recruited him a long time, was very aware how good he could become, and how special, he could be. So I think that we'll see really good things out of him.
Oh, it's huge, especially in like sudden change situations. Offense, God forbid, throws a pick. You got to get back up there and stop the other team, regardless of their position on the field. So energy is huge. So it doesn't feel like a shift in momentum. It just feels like the next time you go on, next time we're going to dominate. And that's what coach is trying to portray to us. And we're trying to live by that.
Of course, I feel like we have some weapons with the receiver corps and the running back room. So I feel like just with the running backs and the receiver, we could show our ability. And Coach Kiffin and Coach Levy could open the playbook more and just use the guys all around and make plays, score from far. That's the motto.
I think it was good. I felt like it wasn't as hot. I don't check the temperature every day like a lot of coaches do, but it didn't feel like that. So I thought they did good. It was a well-needed day off, after an unrealistic scrimmage, which had a padded practice the day before, which obviously would never happen. So you got to push that way early in camp. So good to see them respond. A couple of turnovers on the defense today, which we did not see Sunday. So that was good.
I see that we're on the cusp, right? And we just need to keep hammering in the details every single day of the rest of camp, all the days leading up to the game, every single walkthrough, every single meeting, just hammer the details. And when we do that, it's going to be a great defense.
Just Coach Kiffin, everybody like Coach Kiffin, just he, not like other coaches, he himself. Everybody think he's weird and all that, but, he's good. He's a good coach, very chill and, yeah.
Well, when we broke it down, it wasn't as much with the ones, but in defense, like I said right afterwards, too, that's unfortunately, not to be expected, but probably going to happen, first time out, really tackling each other. So, we need to improve on that.
Yeah, he does they need to improve on that. We talked about that before, how maybe this defense has 13 or 14 players that it can count on, but you need to grow it out to 22. Their goal is a 22, true two deep on the defensive side of the ball with tempo and the play volume that they have to face. It's a must. They will wear down. It's not anything about the talent of these guys. It's about the fact that they're human beings, and there's only so in shape you can be. And, if they're facing 80 to 85 plays a game, it's going to be difficult whenever you get north of 70 or so plays. So there's going to be a drive when you need help. You need depth. You need to cut down that play volume any way you can. And you can do that by having essentially a 22-man starting unit on defense. And if you look at the roster of what's going on, you can see that it's starting to develop, especially on the back end of the defense. Players like MJ Daniels, Tysheem Johnson, you have Jake Springer coming in this year. You have Otis Reese for the full year. Keydron Smith has moved to free safety. They would not have moved him from corner unless they were players that could be counted on in those positions. But then you got Markevius Brown, like I said, MJ Daniels. Those are tall, rangy, long players on the outside, which is necessary to be an inside the field attacking, because with all the RPOs that are going around college football right now, with all the RPOs, it is imperative that the middle of the field you have a lot of depth. So think of it as an inside out. It's like a true soccer analogy with when you talk about a spine of a defense, defensive line, middle linebackers, safeties. That's the sign. Those are the ones that's going to have to play the RPO game. Now, if you have long cover guys that you can man up on the outside, you have an advantage defensively, because that allows that RPO stuff, that allows that accordion to not get so stretched. And if that accordion gets stretched, it's going to be a problem for that defense. Now, like we said many times, we're talking about this defense. What we want for this defense is somewhere right between 60 and 80. That's what's asked of this defense. They're not asked to be Alabama from 2010. That style defense. That it just, we're not asking that. We're looking for a team to be. We're looking. Sorry, I need to mute that. We are looking for the defense to be explosive, to be good at certain things, and to get the ball back for the offense, because this offense has the ability to go on a run, just like in basketball. Next thing you know, you look up and 3 touchdowns are on the board and you're 21 points behind. That's what this team does. If the defense can provide them with those 2 stops that allow them to run, the game can virtually be over. The other team will not be able to catch up with what's going on. Now, whenever we're going to take a short break, whenever we come back, we're going to talk about the game that I am most looking forward to this season. And really, it's going to be a surprising thing. It's an under-the-radar game. It's not going to like Alabama or LSU or Mississippi State or even Liberty, for that matter. It's going to be pretty interesting, so stick around for that. All right, welcome back to the POMcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis. We've been talking a little bit about defense in the first segment of the show and how the defensive hot takes were actually just defensive hot takes, and without all that information, they were bound to be wrong, and they were. We still have some work to go, but it sounds like we have a first 11 that is in good position. Now, before I get out of here today, I want to talk a little bit about Reb Calls. It's a show that we're debuting on September 6th, about 30 minutes after the game. Basically, the phone lines will be open. The chat window will be open. All of that stuff will be available, and it will be exclusively for patrons. So join our Patreon at patreon.com/positivelyolemiss and join that. But it'll allow you to have your say and do the things you need to do. So right after the game on Patreon only, Reb Calls. We're also going to put previews on there. That'll be Patreon only. And interviews will be Patreon first. So you'll get it for 72 hours or something like that before other people will actually be able to see it. So that is what we're looking for on the Patreon channel. So very excited about what's going on. Our YouTube subscriber count, we're going to go over 300 subscribers today. That's fantastic. And we're probably going to break the monthly record for listens for the podcast today or tomorrow. And so, as you can see, doing math, we still have 10 or 11 days left to go. So that's pretty great. Also, we're doing an audio thing. Eventually, we've set up a secure podcast. So whenever we want to do a podcast just for Patreons, there's going to be an RSS link that you can put in your podcatcher and listening to it just like you always do. So just pay attention for that as well. So that's pretty great. All right, the game that I'm under the radar looking forward to this season. It's not Liberty, it's not Mississippi State, not LSU, not Bama, not Auburn, not even Arkansas. It's Tennessee. And everybody is like, why would Tennessee be on that list? and it's because of their offense. Now, the leader in the clubhouse for the quarterback competition is Joe Milton. He was the quarterback at Michigan last year. Second is Hendon Hooker, and third is Harrison Bailey. I thought Harrison Bailey kind of fit that Dylan Gabriel mode that Josh Heupel would like, playing quarterback at Tennessee, but apparently Joe Milton. So I expect them to more dual threat the quarterback, and this might be out of necessity. They've been built and been recruiting for the offensive line for so long. Their offensive line's probably going to be pretty good. So I can understand Joe Milton at 250 pounds running a quarterback power, and you have Jabari Small, little short, quick guy playing running back, and it will be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how that offense functions and what that offense does. Now, you miss that offense because they're going to score a bunch of points. Josh Heupel has scored a bunch of points everywhere he's been. Even when he was in Missouri with a freshman Drew Lock, they put points on the board. So I expect them to score fairly freely. Ole Miss is going to be the best offense potentially in the country. And I'm not even being hyperbolic with that. But with Jerry and Ely, Henry Parrish, and Snoop Connor, that's one of the best running back rooms in the SEC. And that's right, I'm talking about a running back room. Then you have the best quarterback in the SEC, Matt Corral. I think he's the best in the country, but that's another discussion altogether. And then you look on the outside, Braylon Sanders is moving up the charts as far as being that guy. And you have Dontario Drummond, and you have J.J. Henry and John Rice Plumlee, and so many weapons in the middle that it allows actually somebody like Chase Rogers to kind of go into the tight end position and be okay. Hudson Wolf, be okay. You could start a true freshman at the tight end position and be okay. You saw last year a little bit of funkiness with the motion when it comes to a tight end, and I just love it. With blocking on the outside passes, a tight end going in motion, coming out there and curving. Fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing all that. I'm looking forward to seeing Ole Miss's offense this year. My favorite play, I will tell y'all this over and over and over again, is an actual triple option. Yeah, I said that. It's an actual triple option, and it's in the Lane Kiffin playbook. Now, let me explain this to you. The first option is the jet sweep, and that plays with the inside linebacker and the defensive end. So if they start moving, you can hand it off right behind them to the running back on an inside zone play. So if they stay put and you miss the first one, you still have the zone read out the backside when everybody is moving. Everything play side, the jet sweep and the handoff is going to the left. You can go out the back door to the right. It's my favorite play. I love it. I first noticed it on Boot Camp the Offense when me and Corey was doing that. Heck, 2 Marches ago. It was right when we were starting to formulate the idea of what this would become. And one of the games you saw that. It might have been against Charlotte. It might have been against Navy. I don't know exactly what happened. It ended up being a quarterback 5-yard touchdown run. But you saw that in the red zone and you're like, wow, this is different. This is new. It's not often that I see something in football that just makes me gasp. It's like, whoa, this is something absolutely new. But whenever you do it and you're doing something that nobody else is doing, that will provide you with a little bit of cover going forward. Boise State became good not because they were a good team or anything like that. They were a well-coached team. Now, don't hear me wrong, but Dan Hawkins and Chris Peterson and on down the line, it all happened because of the packaged play concept with tags, the RPOs that we call now, that you can run or pass on a given play, and defenses were lining up and playing straight football, and this attacked them. And that's how Boise became so difficult to stop back in the early to mid-2000s. Based simply off that premise, that led to the zone read. That led to the RPO. And they start just building one after another to go. And defenses are catching up during this whole time frame, trying to be on the cutting edge. But now you have a situation like this Baylor offense. And I know I called it the Baylor offense just then, but it's really the Kiffin offense because we're 5 years in at this point. But every pass play has a run tag. Every run play has a pass tag. They spread wide receivers out outside the numbers, so you have to defensively account for all 53 yards wide. And then that opens up space going deep. And they want to attack based on where the defense gets pulled. If the defense, the linebacker drops back, they're going to hit the short stuff. They're going to hit the backs. They're going to run the ball. They're going to do things like that. If they're coming up to attack the run in the short pass game, the linebackers, the space behind the linebackers becomes open. And that's where you see the tight ends and the slot receivers doing a lot of work. That's the most common area where offenses attack defenses in this modern RPO football. Now, what's going to inevitably happen then is the safety is going to start looking in front of him because he's tired of seeing people catch the ball wide open right in front of him. He's not going to drop as far. He's going to pay attention to the shorter route as opposed to the outside guys, who's going to cause him to break the rule of all rules. The golden rule of modern football is the free safety needs to be deeper than the deepest. And once that happens, if they get behind and you make a play, you see big touchdowns and receivers running wide open. It's all about playing with receivers, and this offense is designed to absolutely torture linebackers. And people need to understand what I mean by torturing linebackers. It's to, you put them on a perpendicular plus. The jet sweep moving to the right, the zone read moving to the left. Is it going to be a pass right behind you to the tight end that's moving back? Is it going to be a run in front of you moving forward? False steps in either of those directions cause a slowness that is going to allow receivers to get open right behind them, or running backs to get through the gap that they were supposed to cover in front of them. It is designed to torture them. They can't be right. They just can't be right. And, thoughts and prayers to the linebackers, but it is really, really hard to play linebacker in today's modern college football. That's why you're seeing teams go away from linebackers. Like Ole Miss 3-3-5, 4-2-5. So that 3-3-5 should be a 3-4. The 4-2-5 should be a 4-3. A linebacker's taken off the field in both of those. And you can line up, and it gives you more flexibility to line up with a defensive back. If you have a linebacker, you don't want to put him out 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage and ask him to function in space, because those guys are kind of too big to do what they need to do, and they're going to get matched up with somebody that's much smaller, and it's a no-win situation. So you'd rather defensive back handle that. Now, you get a guy like Otis Reese, who is spectacular in the system. He's a physical defensive back. He's a box safety. He wants to play towards the line of scrimmage. If this was 2002, he would be a will linebacker. They would grow him up to 220 and let him go. But as it stands, he's going to play either that star or that strong safety position somewhere near the line of scrimmage, opposite of Jacob Springer, and just wreak havoc on the offense as it goes. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going on and everything that with the defense and the offense. You could tell when I'm talking about it how passionate I am about it, and I'm just really excited. But I think I'm going to give you a couple minutes back. We'll give you a couple minutes back, and you can do with them what you will. But I just want to say, have a great Wednesday, and of course, hotty toddy.